as I said, we've been doing a really cool thing, which is the tier list, a discussion about Dead Cells weapons and ranking them from like S to F. Last time we actually finished the melee tier list, but today we're starting ranged. And ranged was like super popular. Melee is really popular, but a lot of people had a lot of stuff to say about ranged. Okay, so just like last time, we need to go down the list. So we're gonna be starting, this is ranged, so we're gonna be starting right here. Boom. Easy money. So I definitely tell all of you, please experiment. Experimentation in Dead Cells is what makes this game like super fun. Okay, so back at it, tier list time, tier list version 1.4, ranged only. I do want to bring up the previous tier list. Last time we did this, we just pulled up on a different tab. That way we can see what kind of stats we were putting in this stuff previously. Okay, so this is the old tier list. We have Heavy Nerve, Triple Knock, Marksman, Infantry, Young Man, Quick Bow, Gallic Gun, Rocket Launcher, Carbine, Hokuto, Ice Shard, Molotov, Sonic, Lightning Bolt, Ice Crossbow, JK-47, Fire Blast, Pyro, Kunai, Electro Whip, Bow and Limbless Quiver. Who even knows what this item is? Like this. That must be a new item or something. I've never seen that before. Javelin, Ice Bow, Frost Nova, and the old trusty Boomerang. I actually put Boomerang as a D tier, and I felt really bad about doing that, but I kind of... Honestly, I overblew the nerfs. They did nerf the Boomerang, and honestly, I still only get it when it's legendary, but even when it's not legendary, it still actually does stuff. Especially when you get the Boomerang that does like poison per hit. It's actually kind of legit. Thank you, C9. I appreciate that. That's the history lesson. To anyone out there who insta-sells Bow and Limbless Quiver like I do. Rest assured, it's always been in the game. And it actually did get a buff at one point. They actually gave it that critical on the last hit. But let's go ahead and get started. First item in the list, Triple Knot. This previously was an A rank weapon. It's actually pretty decent all the way up until Prison Depths. So I can't put this thing as an A anymore. I get baited by this thing so much. Like, I'll go into prison quarters, one shot every enemy. Items busted. I go into Promenade. Sometimes I don't one shot the failed experiment. Other times we actually one shot the runner, and it's like, okay, I'm feeling it. It's kind of good, And then once you get to Prison Depths, specifically like hammers and lacerator, those things suck. And as you go even farther beyond, bombers, like the ones that actually fly in the air, being able to actually dodge your assault. Arbiter, if you're a big fan of the Arbiter like I am, then this thing, you can, as long as you dodge the shot, basically you're firing your shot, they're firing their shot, and you can never outpace, honestly, any enemy with multi-knot. Any enemy that shoots will probably shoot before this thing fires, compared to like Nerve or Heavy or Quick Bow. All of those items, you are literally firing faster than the enemy. So demons, if you find a demon that's in the sky and you're using multi-knock, that's a feels bad. Like, you can jump in the air, fire the shot out, they're gonna shoot too. You have to roll forward, and then you get hit by, like, what's on that map? Cannibal? Talking Slumbering Sanctuary. I'm really, like, not liking multi-knock lately. And it's not so much that the item, like, all around sucks. It's really good early, and then it might actually be good late. There was a point where we tried to actually beat the final boss with this thing, and I'm pretty sure we failed because we dealt no damage. And I think I actually had the choice between this and heavy crossbow, and I was just like, we gotta get the practice, chat. Like, I know heavy crossbow is good, but we have to get the practice on the multi-knock. And then we died. So maybe I'm still, like, secretly salty about that death. And hey, starting in the D, hey, that's a good point. Back in the day, we used to start at A and then work our way down. Maybe we start off as a D, and maybe we, you know, work our way up the ranks. Work our way up the divisions. We're trying to get into the Platinum Dead Cells division right now. You're not a fan of it because there's a mega drop in damage? Yeah, so multi-knock actually deals some of the highest DPS in the game, but that's like no crit. Yeah, so it's actually the strongest base damage, I guess if you don't count the shotgun, base damage bow in the game. But as Pigeon was saying, the real problem with it is once you start getting monsters that don't get one-shotted, the speed, it's also a very slow weapon, and the missile speed isn't all that great. Uncivil War. I tell you, all have the best names in my channel. I am so jealous of you guys and gals' names, but welcome. Glad to have you here. Yeah, I think this thing's a D. Honestly, if you're a fan of multi-knock, more power to you. Again, this is... And Fluffy Mittens, how you doing, Fluff? This is a Veedotme 4BC plus tier list. So just because your item might not be ranked where I put it, doesn't mean that, like, my say goes. Definitely, like, the best way to play Dead Cells is your own way. I just like to kind of give a real thought process on how we decide to sell an item or to proceed with it. And this thing, once it starts not dealing damage, it's gotta go. Plain and simple. Kunai though. This is shout out to the old Sasuke builds. Double Kunai with the electrocute. The Wing Zero setup with double Kunai and the Raven form. Where is it? Right here. Wings of the Crow. Used to be fun. You could just glide through the map, toss Kunai the whole time with the 90% damage reduction before mutations got nerfed. And that was actually really good. Nowadays, this thing is still really good with, honestly, a lot of setups. Recently got this game, but it didn't take long to realize how absurd the shoddy, what do they call this game? The Ava 8, for all my Apex players out there. I think it's actually really good. No spoilers, last time it was actually an S rank. I don't know if it's still an S, but it's good, I'll say that much. Kunai though, or throwing knife to everybody, it's really good in a lot of setups. So it's not an S because there are some situations where you cannot really build into the Kunai. You already got a heavy crossbow. Getting something like a kunai in place of the heavy crossbow is such a difference in gameplay. Going from, say, explosive crossbow, or even like Sonic-gu, to throwing knife is so different. So there's a lot of times where you cannot just switch to this thing. But if you build your game towards it, you can get some real deadly builds. Remember, we did a farming run, 4BC double kunai, double owl farming, and being able to just like apply bleed and spam it, it feels so good. You would put kunai as a B. So if we were, so just like we were talking earlier with, I think that was C9 saying it earlier. If you were to just take a single kunai by itself and measure that against every other item, we also have criteria up here on how we chose last time if an item was good or not. Then it can't be an A. It would fall all the way down to situational tier, C. But we're trying to change the way we do these tier lists, where it's not the optimum build, like we're not measuring it on the best possible build, but what we are measuring it on is like going from getting that item to getting like a couple components, and then all of a sudden like you're actually Sasuke. You're actually doing, what was it against the is it Madara? Is that the guy's name? Where Naruto does the Rasengan and it splits into Sasuke doing a whole bunch of kunai, and then those split into Shadow Clone Jutsu, and then the whole time it was just a Genjutsu from Sasuke. Where's my Naruto fans at? I haven't seen Naruto in like 5 years. But in any case, when you start cosplaying anime, this actually turns out to be pretty decent. You can pair this with Ripper. You can pair this with Hunter's Instinct. You can pair it with Parting Gift. You can pair it with Tranquilo. You can pair it with I guess that's it. But still, like, really good stuff. You can also go combo. Like, the old-fashioned way to do it was just running combo. Oh, Iceman with the follow. Welcome, Iceman. Glad to have you here. Hope you enjoy. Heavy crossbows and S. Hey, get the votes in. Isn't there a bet? There's no contest. Bet. How much to make heavy crossbow an S rank? I think it's an A. Honestly, it's good. You just have to also build towards it. You can't just rock a throwing knife with like a bow and Limbless Quiver. That's nothing at all. You may as well not even press square and just spam triangle. Next, Electro Whip. Electro was all the way down here as a C rank. Justice for Broadsword? Hey. Thank you, please. Bring it on. I love Broadsword. I love it. I just sell it. That's all. I love to sell it. And they go for a lot of money. I've seen some $9,000 broadswords before. They are freaking made of solid gold bricks. Where's, oh, I keep looking at this thinking it's Electro Whip. Next item. Chat knows it, chat loves it. Electro Whip. Rusty Sword is S tier? I can do that right now. Let me hook you up, Iceman. Let me find Rusty Dagger. Boom. Done. Meme is S. All memes are S's. Electro Whip though. So, you know. And I've, like, in the lower divisions, like 0 BC up to probably 2 BC, this thing is, like, kinda okay. After 2 BC, when monster HP starts to skyrocket, really the only thing Electro Whip is good for is synergies. So Electro Whip happens to have a really high chance of having, like, bonus damage to bleed, bonus damage to poison, bonus damage to fire. So if you combine something like that with, say, a flamethrower that has the poison cloud around it, Electro Whip can really do damage. But if you don't have any of that, it does nothing in 4 BC plus. Instant Cell even in 0 BC, yo, good in water, true. So that's one of the buffs they did, was that a lot of electric items do crits in water. And if there were more bosses that had water in it, imagine if, like, Conjunctivius, the entire bottom was water and the tentacles are actually, like, moving around in water. Not too hard of a concept to imagine, but this would be a really good item in that fight. But unfortunately, it doesn't have that. And in 4 BC, when we talk about damage synergies, let's say, for example, you're in Promenade. Promenade has runners, it has failed experiment, it has bombardier. You drop the flame turret, awesome, you can get synergy, that's, like, fantastic. But you also could have just killed it with a lot of different weapons without any synergies at all. Probably could have one-shot stuff in Promenade with this, killed it with this, killed it with that, smoke it out. Maybe you pair this with something like a Boomerang. Again, like, you have to have, like, ambient damage going on plus a synergy. And I feel like that's a lot of work. I don't even call that situational. Situational to me means that you got crap. Exclamation point melee in the chat. Worst combo ever? Are you talking about Electro plus Boomerang? Hey, you never know. That could be the actually busted build. That could be the next Reddit karma bomb. The next Reddit banger is the Electro Whip with the Boomerang. Alright, so here's the melee tier list. We had situational stuff because we had some builds, namely these three, that are really, like, broken wide open if you get, like, the stars to align. If you get the stars to align, this thing can actually do stuff. If you get below 50% HP, this could start to do stuff. I feel like this has a lot of, like, even if the stars align, I feel like I'd rather just have something else, you know? If anything, there needs to be a weapon / mod that covers enemies in water. That would be kind of cool. Or just puddles on the ground, just like oil would. Or let me crit in oil. Does that even scientifically sound? Hey, the Triforce. That's how you actually get a good Electro Whip. It's combined with the Triforce. How do you use a boss cell in a regular game? You have to do it at the start of the run. Like the very first area where you see all of your jars that have items in it, you use the boss cells there. So if you're past that area and you have already, like, picked up items, you have to restart, basically. Oil is hydrocarbon, so it should conduct electricity. Thank you, Fluffy. So yeah, the hashtag let oil be electrified. Problem solved. Busted item. If that happens, then I think this is actually, like, kinda okay. Without that, I think I would actually take multi-knock over this. So we're starting real strong with the F. I'm feeling that. Firebrand, however. Firebrand, and I'm gonna try to not get myself boxed in a corner where every throwable item is an A rank just because of the kind of stuff you can do with it. I'm actually a really big fan of the Firebrand. Firebrand though, the Molotov. I can't, in all honesty, let Molotov be an A tier. And that's because you can do so much with the Kunai. Even when you pair 2 Kunai together, it's awesome. Pairing 2 Molotovs together is like a little redundant in my opinion. It's better to have like a Molotov plus a different throwing item, like the ice shards, like the boomerang, like the kunai. But by themselves, even though they can kill stuff by themselves, they don't do anything particularly awesome. Almost suffers the same fate as multi-knock, where once you get past Promenade, and in Promenade where monsters are in water and they don't get set ablaze, could be real bad. Even with oil, I feel like, honestly, I feel like using Firebrand in oil is a waste of the oil. Now there are some circumstances where we actually did really like oil with the Molotov, but I would still ditch the Molotov and take an ice shard if that's the case. Yeah, if I had oil, I would rather keep the oil. If I want to use some kind of fire gameplay, maybe I would go Fire Blast. Maybe I would go Pyro. But this thing, in my opinion, is just like a slot. Just a placeholder until I get the second kunai or the second boomerang, or maybe even like just a placeholder until I get a shield. And that is kind of like wrong. Maybe even the young man axe. It's good. Like, it can actually get you through some stuff. It can actually do something. But outside of that, I mean, that's it. Use it until it's garbage. I don't really like having this as a D rank because it can do stuff sometimes. And maybe we, like, as we go through this, we might bring some stuff down. And this is, I feel like this is gonna end up being a controversial list real soon, because I have a strong feeling we're gonna have a lot of stuff down here. The last one had a lot of C rank items. I don't want to do this anymore. I feel like this is a complete cop-out. It's better that we have stuff as F, D, and S than just filling up the C tier. Okay. Next item, Frost Blast, what I call the Frost Nova. Firebrand with Oil Sword. Yeah, that's actually really good, and that's why I kind of want to keep it as a C. But then if I were to get the Fire Grenade, and then again, maybe we shouldn't rely on Fire Grenades so much, because getting something like the Molotov lets you actually skip Fire Grenade and use, for example, Lacerating Aura plus Light Speed. A kill button plus the escape. H for hecka rad. Z tier. So I have had some really fun games with the Frost Nova, but in all honesty, I don't know when I would take Frost Nova over Ice Bow. Last time I had them both paired as D rank, And I honestly feel like I prefer Ice Bow over Frost Blast in 2019. .48 damage compared to... Wow, the damage isn't all that much better either. Why would you use one over the other? So Frost Blast has a longer slow and a longer freeze. Ice Bow has range. So Frost Blast is really good for getting up in the face of a bunch of enemies, freezing them all for a long time, getting a setup going. I almost wonder if Frost Blast would be really good as like a survival item. Totally not an S, totally not an A. I don't even know if it's a B rank. Yeah, so one nice thing that Ice Bow does is that if the monsters are stacked up on top of each other, so like failed experiment on top of a knife thrower, you can just shoot the one bullet and it'll probably freeze both of them without pierce at all. Of course, that's, you know, gonna take some time for that to line up, whereas with this thing you could just run in front of them. But some of the monsters will actually dodge the Frost Blast. Failed experiment might dodge it. Knife thrower might jump backwards. And I feel like the range is so important. Is Ice Bow next? I almost wonder if I have to do Ice Bow and Frost Blast at the same time. Let's do that. I'm kind of thinking something like this. And I know I have not used Ice Bow in a long time, but I actually, every time I get Ice Bow, it actually does stuff. I live when I use Ice Bow, and that's like really strange. Ice Bow is only favorable when it has piercing affix. Piercing makes it busted. Firebrands are knockoff kunai in Dead Cells. You can double up on it, but it won't have the same satisfaction. Yeah, that's why I never double up on the Molotov. I always just pair it with some different weapon. So what's cool about the Frost Ice Bow? What's cool about Ice Bow is actually using it first at range and then killing stuff at range. What's cool about this is running up to enemies, freezing them all, and then what? Like maybe using it in the new melee tactics setup? But I feel like if I'm playing melee tactics, I want to just kill everything with the first melee hit. Multi-shot is better than any ice stuff. It's, hey, again, multiple knockbow isn't a terrible item, but I gotta make it a tier list somehow. So I had to put this somewhere. Feel Ice Bow is secondary, used to keep them in place and use the main bow, and in some cases that's a requirement. Then again, like a lot of these weapons are like, you just kill it. For example, like using the lightning here, you can say that, oh, hit him with the ice and then hit him with the lightning, easy mode. But then again, a lot of times you can just shock it. A lot of times you can just use any of these items. But some items, I feel like tagging enemies with the Ice Bow is its own gameplay by itself. Like you could literally run through maps with Ice Bow plus the owl and just like one tap every enemy with the ice and let the owls kill it. I feel like you can't really do that with the Frost Nova because that means you have to get in range. Quick and ice on the same button? You all are putting everything on the same button. Sounds like fun though. It actually does. Actually does. Ice is better if you look for utility. Being able to spam when you're in safe range is good. and you don't see when you take Frost if you could grab Ice Grenade. Yeah, I'm liking this right now. I think the most fun build that we had with Ice Bow was pairing it with the Young Man Axe. I actually had a Boy Axe that dealt bonus damage to frozen targets, and what you did was that you threw the you threw the Boy Axe, stuck him, shot him with the Ice Bow, froze it, ripped the Boy Axe out, and it one-shot every single enemy in caverns, by the way. So those are like the tankiest enemies in the game. I only died because I freaking screwed up a curse. But in that build, I actually put both the Boy Axe and the Ice Bow on the same button. And they actually fired out. The speed was just enough that the Boy Axe always hit first, then it froze, then I just had to press the button one more time, and it kills the monster. So I might drop it down to a C. Wow, where are we? No, I'm gonna keep it as a B. I'm gonna stick to my guns here and say that Ice Bow can actually be a legitimate item. We just sell it way too much. Ice is better if it's the man. What did we see, Iceman? We went to FYE and there was a movie called Iceman, and I'm pretty sure it had nothing to do with the Marvel Comics Iceman, and it looked super weird. I'm not sure if Marvel should do something about that. Yeah, Valmont is legit. Even with the nerf, getting rid of Survival Valmont, it's like, who cares? Survival Valmont, whatever. Give me Brutality Valmont all day. Alright, Bow and Limbless Quiver. Let's make this one a quick one. Stretch it out. What's going on, River? River jumped on the desk. She heard Bow and Limbless Quiver. She's like, and what's... I feel like the ultimate vision, like the dream of Bow and Limbless Quiver, is that you have Tranquilo, Support, and Instincto, with something like Owl. I don't have skills up, but something like Owl, plus maybe Corrupted Power, or you could just do double Owl. But really, what you're supposed to do, I guess, is get these easy boss kills with the critical. But I feel like I'd rather use anything else. That's so much setup. That's basically 3 mutations to actually make this viable with a real skill set. So, I mean, whatever. Throwing knives are good. Throwing knife actually can be red now. So in version 1.4, I actually forgot about this. For those who haven't played version 1.4, you can actually get red kunai. And I don't know which Naruto ninja is red and uses kunai, but it's actually kind of fun. Basically, you can pair that with as a replacement for Blood Sword. Like, why use Blood Sword if you can get Brutality kunai? You can pair that with anything that does bonus damage to bleeding. Tenten? Was Tenten... Didn't she use, like, the Boomerang? Dude, I gotta figure out who is Tenten. Naruto Sango from Inuyasha. Yep, that's the Boomerang. Boomerang. Is this a no-name character? Do people actually know who this is? Isn't this a nobody? Wait, who out here actually, like, follows Tenten? What group was she in? This... What kind of OC is this? Oh, it's your favorite character? Alright, I take that back. Never mind, she's best character, best waifu in Naruto. Hands down. Hinata, who's that? We're going 10-10. Neji and Rock Lee's team, okay. Thank you, chat. I'm so sorry if I insulted anybody. I completely had no idea who that character was. And obviously I saw all of like regular Naruto, but literally does not stick in my brain at all. So I apologize. I'll do 10 push-ups for that one after stream. Okay, let's get back into it. We're skipping Bow and Limbless Quiver. If anyone wants to actually give me like a viable reason to have Bow and Limbless Quiver in 2019, please let me know, because I'm like really struggling with that item, and I've tried my best to really do something with it. Marksman Bow. Okay, so Marksman Bow, I actually don't like. It suffers again from clear everything up to prison depth syndrome. Once you get into prison depths, if you find one hammer, there was a Reddit post about that actually. There was a Reddit post where the person got Marksman Bow. Kellen was saying this too. Marksman Bow, no pierce, you go up to a hammer, it spawns 10 billion bats, you can't kill anything. Because Marksman Bow fails to kill anything after prison depths. Oh, after promenade, basically. So I know that's like blaspheme, and I'm so sorry. Again, if you all really like Marksman Bow, please keep using it. But I just want to go through like my own thought process, where we go down into prison depths, I have a hammer, I shoot it, it doesn't die. That's a problem, because now all of a sudden we're fighting 10 monsters and I can't kill any of them because I have a Marksman Bow. So, not an S, not an A, because it also fails against the giant. This thing is so bad against the giant, it's not even funny. I tried my best to fight the giant with Marksman Bow, the plunger, or it's like a marshmallow cannon, the way how the arrow is shaped. And it was really, really hard. Unless you get the pierce, because you can like pierce the first fist and hit the one behind it. That is actually kind of decent. Timekeeper, it does actually hit Timekeeper, which is really nice. But fighting Hand the King with this is so much work. Like having to actually space yourself out against Hand the King is like actually awful. After, is it me or is Hand the King after you kill him the first time? Yeah. Sometimes it just be like that, Iceman. Hand the King just like went into the lab, went into the hyperbolic time chamber, came out, and he's a beast. So, hey, good for him for getting strong in such a short amount of time. Alright, this thing's a D. I'm not gonna make it an F because you can actually clear biomes with this thing. But if you path poorly, same thing with multi-knock. Multi-knock and this thing go hand in hand in my opinion. They do functionally the same thing, I feel, except this can kill stuff if you're lucky, and this can kill stuff if you just happen to pump bullets into it. Yeah, you will probably kill something. Probably. Great to start off, falls off further in the run. Yeah, early game item. This is the Shaco of items right here in the D tier. Feels bad. But that's pretty much all there is to say about that thing. For comparison though, we actually had Marksman and Multi-Knock as A ranks. But now that we have like a better understanding of the game, like this was back when I was just a wee lad, and I had everything as a C. So now I've opened my mind and my brain a little bit to certain items, And we gotta spread this out. We gotta spread the love. So we're removing love from the A tier and giving that to some other stuff. Infantry Bow. So infantry I actually had as an A. I honestly still really like Infantry Bow. And the reason why is because even though it has ammo issues, there's a lot you can do with the infantry. It's an auto crit also, so in all honesty, I think Brutality infantry is probably the right way to go. And that's something like Instinto. Either your choice between Vengeance and Soldier, and then you could probably just take both, honestly. Vengeance and Soldier. You could do Frenzy just to actually get some kind of weapon that actually heals you up in biomes. But by then you would probably ditch the infantry if you're using any melee item that's just for lifesteal. But what's nice is being able to actually proc the crit on some of your Brutality skills. And that basically means Lacerating Aura. For those who don't know, Lacerating Aura is now red-purple. So being able, and Corrosive Cloud, being able to use both of these in a Brutality setup is actually kind of decent. Even when you're running tactics, it can still be really good. You could run it with the owls. Then again, you can run anything with owl. You can do grapple hook. Grapple hook into infantry is like super good. Oh, hey Siva. How's the list coming along? So far, we have a lot of demoted items. Infantry is a B tier. Yeah, I'm slowly thinking about this. Because in all honesty, the only thing that really makes Infantry Bow really good, and I guess you have to use ammo too. So the only thing that makes it really good is Instinct Master at Arms, aka Instinto. So in all, like really, it's just an enabler at that point. It's almost like Hokuto's bow, where Hokuto's bow actually does like bonus damage for using it, whereas infantry basically lets you use your skills more often. And Hokuto is kind of far down the list. Wow, this thing has 5 ammo at base. So at best, you're thinking like 12 ammo. No, 16 ammo. With the +3 and then the ×2. That's kind of tough. You don't need ammo if you parry and the arrows come back. So if you're running, you could go Curse. See, I'm feeling real skeptical about having this thing as an A. Probably good. Sounds about right. Probably good. Yeah, what do you guys think about the list so far? Everyone in chat. I know there's people saying they would like to see this as an A. They like to see it as a B. I know there's people who like to see Ice Bow somewhere down here. Hey, imagine putting these two together. Sounds good. Unstoppable setup right here. It was an S forever ago. Well, yeah, back when there's not real much more options. But then again, we didn't know the full capabilities of stuff like the Boomerang. And I certainly didn't know the capability of the heavy crossbow back then either. So definitely some struggles back in the day. Kunai's pretty weak compared to almost everything else there. Not sure how that's the best. Yeah, it's all about... So, a lot of the A tier right now is how strong these builds get when you actually get these items. Of course, this is bad when you pair it. Say Kunai plus ice, probably bad. Kunai plus this guy, probably bad. Kunai plus a shield, probably bad. Kunai plus Electro Whip, might be okay. I don't know, because we sell these. But you can actually get some real busted builds with this. Applying the bleed. The bleed stacks get to be so high when you pair both. Infantry though, man, this is tough. I actually really like infantry, and I want to try playing it more. I just worry, like, after going Instincto, what do you actually get for mutations? And bonus ammo. I don't know. I don't think I can have it as an A. That's a lot more ifs than I had for the Kunai, for sure. What you're saying is it's too weak unless you have something else that deals the damage. So I'm also thinking, Kirby, this is like a big problem we had last time. We had these criteria here that ended up making items, honestly, like every ranged weapon in the game as a C. And we gotta start thinking of it almost like a Hokuto perspective. Like, is the item good at what it does? So, thinking about something like Bow and Endless Quiver, Bow and Endless Quiver has the dream of doing this crit gameplay at range. And it's like, is it even good at doing that? I feel like the answer is no. Kunai, however, has this dream of ripping through biomes and applying bleed stacks that does other stuff with other items. Almost like Hokuto, you apply something and it does other stuff. And I feel like Kunai does a good job at that. A whole lot better than the crit from Boneless Quiver. Almost. Well, I don't want to spoil too much. I can't spoil stuff that we aren't there yet. But I feel like the concept actually works properly. Do you go to the cavern from Toxic Sewers or Ramparts? We'll be going cavern if my build allows me to. Sometimes I go Forgotten Sepulchre if I have zero confidence I can clear caverns. Kunai's average? Hey, again, that's the beauty of the tier list. I love the feedback, everybody. So you are more than welcome. You can have this down here as a meme. Only good for Reddit karma. Only good when you kill Timekeeper in 5 seconds. Outside of that, terrible item. What's next? Quick Bow. So Quick Bow was an A rank. And this was actually a little controversial back in the day because Quick Bow was actually not in the same state it is today. Quick Bow today, in version 1.3, I believe, got a buff that increased the missile speed and the attack speed. So Quick Bow is actually kinda legit. So Quick Bow, some people are calling it the GOAT, some people are calling it S++. It's pretty decent after the buffs. We had a run yesterday that I hard fed only because I screwed up both the mutations that I chose and some of the gameplay. But I had the level 1 Quick Bow all the way up until basically Hand the King. I dropped it just before Hand the King, and it was free low using this item. It gives you crit. You can use Tranquilo with it. You can use Parting Gift with it, even though you probably shouldn't because you just hold square and stuff dies. You can go turrets. You can go owl. You can go knife dance, tornado, You can possibly use phaser. That's probably not that smart, but it is possible. But you can basically use every skill in the game with a quick bow. I know some stuff doesn't make a whole lot of sense, like lacerating aura. You would imagine like, oh, you don't want to be in range with quick bow. You want to go far and then spam attacks. But quick bow lets you use Instincto, and Instincto gives you cooldown reduction on crit. So you can actually run in melee range. Think the giant. You're fighting giant, pop lacerating aura immediately. Start firing away at the one fist, get your crits, cooldown reduction kicks in, you'll be able to use lacerating aura super soon. So in cases like that, it's really good. And it can clear basically every kind of monster. The only thing it suffers against are the spinners, the lacerator. Holding square and stuff dies is great with Parting Gift because eventually you'll end up with a room full of enemies that needs to die. Yeah, and honestly, you can, like I said, it uses every mutation in the game. That's how good it is. You can do everything. You can do combo. You can do ammo, I guess. You can do, I'm not even under mutations. You can do Velocidad. You can play Alienation because you have the ultimate safety of clearing enemies. This is like super dangerous, but you can do it because you have safety. And safety is really good. So I think this thing's an S. And again, last time we had it ranked as an A before it was buffed. Now it's buffed. It only seems like it's simple math to make it an S. Like, you buff the item, it's suddenly one rank higher, one rank above A is S. There's impeccable logic there. You can't argue with that. Of course, if you want to argue though, please let me know. Yeah, Napkin Math, 7. Napkin Math tells me it's an S rank. Alright, we did Ice Bow. Ooh. So just to show you guys, in version 1.4, there's actually no new gear. This is all stuff from version 1.3. So luckily, if you're still on console, don't worry, you're not missing out anything from a range perspective. Heavy crossbow though. What y'all know about the shoddy? What y'all know about the Peacekeeper? The Ava 8. This thing is ridiculous. I don't know how on earth they're ever gonna balance heavy crossbow. So when you get the pierce on the heavy crossbow, unstoppable. It's so disgusting. Being able to just rake in every monster and kill the stuff behind it is... Oh my goodness gracious. I can't even think about it. It gives me some naughty thoughts with the heavy crossbow. Kills everything. Kills hammer. Kills slasher. Kills the footballer. That's what they call the grappler, I think the name is. The one that actually rakes you in. You can rake them back. Your rake, I think he actually rakes you at the same time. But this thing actually interrupts attacks. So failed experiment jumping at you, you can press square and you'll interrupt the jump. Rampager running at you, about to smack the crap out of you. You'll probably get smacked, but in some cases you can actually interrupt her. Bosses, this thing actually screws up Hand the King sometimes. This thing will actually screw up Hand the King, Timekeeper. We've even screwed up the final boss a couple times. Like the final boss off this thing by itself. It's nasty. Probably illegal in some states. Heavy crossbow gives you a big one. Yes, Siva, this thing... And sometimes we can't even take it. I get so sad because I'll be like, chat, we have been neglecting so many items. Literally call item protective services, the IPS, on the stream because all we were using was heavy crossbow. We were a heavy crossbow one trick. And that's it. Banned by the ancients. The ancients said it was too powerful, they sealed it away, and then the devs came in and gave it a hook that rakes enemies in and unleashed the power. It's freaking disgusting. I feel like the only thing they can do is take this item out of the game. And we said about a powerful grenade. The only thing they could do is remove it from the game. That's it. Too strong. Get it out of here. Electro Whip as an F feels bad. Yeah, Naturia. We struggle a little bit with the Electro Whip. I know the dream build with it, but even then, I'd rather take something else, really. Which is sad to say. You hate to see that happen to your items. And again, if you love Electro Whip, if you are an Electro Whip one trick, say that 10 times fast, you're more than welcome to put it up even higher. I'm on Twitter, so I said this last time, any of you all actually have like feedback for the tier list after we're done, you're more than welcome to give me all kinds of hate mail on Twitter. That's fine. I love carrying on the discussion on twitter.com/Veedotme. One day we'll try having like a Discord. I was trying to have Discord as another milestone. But maybe one day we can talk about builds in a Discord, and that would be kind of fun. Surprised to see throwing knives that high. You haven't figured out how to use them properly. I'd say probably your first step is trying the double throwing knife assigned to the same button. Like using 2 throwing knives on square. Even when you have a cursed version and you're playing Brutality. With the pre-nerfed parting gift. Brutal parting gift with throwing knives was my baby girl. I love that build so much. It was super fun. It got nerfed though, so can't do that anymore. Let's do one more. Again, there's no way we can get through these in one night. So let's actually end the night on one of the version 1.2 items. So we'll do it with the young man, the boy. El Nino. The Gentleman's Axe, aka the boy's axe from God of War, basically. It actually got nerfed at one point. They nerfed the ability to, I think it does like diminishing returns. But besides that, it's actually not half bad. So for those who don't know, what Boy Axe does is the initial throw roots enemies, and then you can rip out the axe to deal bonus damage. Now, back in the day, we used to just run double boy, and you just spam square, and it kills stuff. And technically that still works in 2019, but against bosses, there's some diminishing returns there, and the damage isn't as fast. Like the time to kill, the TTK, has been nerfed against bosses. So it's not an S. Even when paired as doubles, it's still good though. Right now I'm trying to think, how can we make this a B rank? Now, when you don't have it as double, when you're just using it for the snare and then rip, it's still actually pretty good with like an owl or a turret setup where you can just throw the axe and let the stuff die and then throw to the next one. And if it doesn't die fast enough, then you just rip it out. You can also do that with some other bows. Again, I had an ice bow set up where I actually threw the axe, froze the enemy, ripped the axe out, and it one-shot every enemy in caverns. So I think it does have some possible, like, really strong builds. I honestly don't use boy axe a lot. If you all actually looked at, like, my past broadcasts, even my YouTube, I don't think I have a single boy axe run on YouTube, which is kind of sad to say. It's not a bad item, it really isn't. I just like other stuff. But because I don't like the item personally, I feel like I can't just make it low. We're gonna end up saying the same thing about Hemorrhage and this thing. Hemorrhage I don't even own. 9 years later, I still have not unlocked this item because the game hates me. But I'm gonna actually try to measure Hemorrhage based on other streamers I saw using Hemorrhage. No spoilers though, so we'll figure that out later. But Boy Axe, I actually think it might be okay as an A rank. And again, I probably need to see it versus bosses. My main fear is Timekeeper. Hand of the King is okay because Hand of the King, you can get a lot of flotation gameplay and you can do a lot of floating with the Boy Axe. Timekeeper you can a little bit, but Timekeeper rushes you down and can snatch you out of the air. So trying to do all of this, and there's actually some animation lock when you throw and rake, well not really rake, rip I guess. When you throw and rip, there's some slight animation lock there. And if you are super unlucky, you might get swapped by Timekeeper. You might get pulled, you might get a ninja star thrown in your back. Other than that, I think it kills every other boss. So that's why I kind of want to keep it as an A. Eventually, it might actually fall down to a B tier. As I said, I had it as an A previously. But as we go through this tier list, I might find other stuff I would honestly rather take than a Boy Axe. So yeah. I think we're good to take a break. So once again, thank you everyone for tuning in. But yeah, breaks. Please get some food, make a PB&J. I don't know if they have peanut butter and jelly sandwiches in your country. If you have something else like the Nutella and marshmallow fluff, you can do that. There's a lot of calories in marshmallow fluff. We'll have to see about that. Okay, let's get started. Tier list. Part 2, tactical gameplay. There's some brutality in here and some survival. Believe it or not, ranged gameplay is not just for tactics. You can actually get some fairly decent, brutal, and survival games out of ranged gameplay. For example, now obviously there's a lot of mutations that don't work. Plus they nerfed Parting Gift, so now you can't use Parting Gift on every single build. But basically what you are gonna be doing is Instinct, Master of Arms, what we call Instincto, because it has like such a long name. So instead of Instinct of the Master of Arms, it's just Instincto. You can go combo if you're running something like Infantry Bow, or you can just pick up something like Tainted Flask. If you're running survival, you can obviously go Necro. Really, you just go Necro no matter what. You could easily take either a shield, mutation, or just the Gastro, and then be like perfectly content with that. Or you could actually run Extendo Heal, and for your last mutation, you take something like emergency triage for the super triage, the like high-powered triage. But of course it would be fun to have actual range mutations, but it's not necessary. There's really strong stuff in Brutality and Survival, so you don't have to go tactics. So the last item that we looked at was Heavy Crossbow. So the next item we're gonna look at is the Repeater Crossbow, aka JK-47. So the JK, it's okay. I mean, Survival actually got a lot of new items that actually have crowd control in it. So there's now green stun grenade, there's green ice shard. Oh, not ice shard, I'm sorry, green ice grenade. And that gives you a little bit of crowd control, so you can actually get the crits off on this. And it does give you 1 crit at base. So almost like the Nutcracker. Oh, I'm sorry, the music might be a little loud. Just like the Nutcracker, you can actually make a build out of it. It's probably not like the most busted build in the game, but if you get like wolf traps and a JK that actually pierces enemies, you can do some real stuff with it. All you have to do is like not go to biomes where everything's super tanky. So for example, you don't go caverns. I know you all probably don't go caverns anyway. You don't go... There we go. You probably don't go to Graveyard because you don't want to get pulled by the grappler. You can duck though, which is actually really nice about this weapon. You can do a prone shot, and that will allow you to duck underneath a lot of horizontal strikes. A lot of those maps also have bats, so this thing actually does die to bats, but you can actually get, honestly, the best JK is one that fires arrows up and fires arrows forward. You can actually get both on the gun, and it will rapid fire essentially 3 bullets at a time. And when you have something like that versus Hand of the King, it does some like real damage. And all you have to do is get through all the other biomes. You get through... See, what sucks is having to go Stilt Village. I feel like that's probably the worst part because you have to deal with the bombs. And you don't one-shot any monsters using this thing, which is super unfortunate. But if you go to... Can you go to... No, you can't go to Clock Tower instead of Stilt. You can go Ancient Sewers, and this is actually really good in Ancient Sewers. Ancient Sewers means you have to go Conjunctivious, and this actually isn't super awful versus Conjunctivious. Like, yeah, you basically have to have the wolf trap by then. So a lot of situational stuff here. Honestly, I still prefer this over these two. At least I don't like outright die in melee range if I have the JK, and then like damage wise I feel like eventually the assault rifle is gonna do damage, whereas triple knock might not. What's the damage difference? 190 compared to 160. So triple knock actually deals a lot more damage than repeater, but you get 1 crit guaranteed on whatever you're shooting at. So I don't know. D rank item, C rank item. That's basically what it boils down to. Explosive is 3 items away. So we'll get there in just a second, Lycos. I like explosive though. I have kind of a love-hate relationship with it. Almost like rapier. I feel like I pop off when I use the fencer. And then some days I'll just do 0 damage. And I feel like I get the same thing with explosive. But no spoilers. We don't want to spoil the tier list. We are almost there. Where's Hokuto? Here we go. Hokuto's Blessing. The great General Hokuto applying his tactical gameplay across his army of weapons. I like it. I actually think it's a really good placeholder. It basically does everything 100% of the time. It just always deals damage so long as you're actually dealing damage too. But I'm a little curious on... So like 75 bonus damage per hit. Which is basically when you're using a ranged setup, you can't, for the most part, fire out 2 bullets at once. So something like Quick Bow paired with a Hokuto is always better. I don't think it's good enough to be an S, because there are some games where I just don't want Hokuto Bow. But think of it as like an enabler of every single other item in the game. Now there is some stuff you probably won't use with the Hokuto. Probably not gonna pair it with this thing or this thing. Probably not gonna pair it with the boy. Probably not explosive. Fire blast. Pyro. Maybe. I think I would take it with Pyro. It's really weird because this weapon does best when you fire out a lot of stuff. Because you're getting out like 75 bonus damage on every single hit, compared to using it with like Broadsword, where you only get off maybe 1 attack per half second. So maybe 2 attacks per second at best, you're getting 150 bonus damage. Compared to Quick Bow, where you might fire out like 4 shots and you actually get 75 times 4. 200? No, it's 250. You got to Astrolabe first time after last patch. New enemies are some BS versus melee. Yeah, so Shantae is what we call it. I think the official name is the Librarian. But Shantae, the genie in the final map, is actually a run killer. They did such a good job of putting a run killer in the final map. I feel like it's not bad if you're actually using the health pot after that thing blasts you to death. It's basically saying that you need to actually be able to kill the final boss with potentially no health pots. Maybe 1 health pot. But do not be afraid of using a health pot in the Astrolabe. Sometimes that's the win. Like, you will take a hit from Shantae. If you chose not to heal, you could possibly die to the next genie. So it's unfortunate. It never feels good to use a health pot, especially after they nerfed Tainted Flask. I really wish that I really wish that she didn't just go around destroying me. But that might be too much to ask. And how you doing, Lycos? So Hokuto, I think I like it as an A. You just really have to be careful of what you pair it with. And I feel like it's pretty self-explanatory. Like, you can't take it with something that doesn't deal constant damage. But with Brutality, like, you pair this with so many things. Flamethrower, even magnetic grenade. We had Hokuto, magnetic, absolutely destroying biomes. It was glorious. I loved it. So it can break the game. That's a really good way to put it. It can break it. I just don't take it 100% of the time. Ice Crossbow. So Ice Crossbow is an item that I'm pretty sure most people aren't using. And I'm not quite sure how to put it on the list. What I really wish is that this thing showed the duration of the freeze. So you can tap once to freeze enemies, or you can freeze them with an ice bow. So let's compare this thing with ice bow. What's nice about ice crossbow is it can kill monsters by itself. So say for example, you have a turret, flame turret for example. You can toss the turret down and then you can just spam square with ice crossbow. The monster can't do anything, it just dies to your turret. Compared to the ice bow, where you can do the same thing, but you can't spam ice bow shots because it has 4 ammo. I mean, 9 ammo is nothing to write home about, but I feel like that kind of gameplay is better suited for the ice crossbow. But then again, the range that you get on ice bow is pretty good. So when you think about stuff like owl setup, you can just hit something with a bow at range, and then as you're walking up to it, it's gonna die to the owl. Compared to using ice crossbow, where you're running up to it with the owl, it's already aggroed, so it's coming for you too. And then you have to potentially dodge roll, but you can shoot, especially if you have pierce. Remember, this thing can get pierce a lot more commonly than ice bow does. But the whole point is that you're actually getting up close to the enemy. Not so far as like this, but you actually have to get in range to actually start shooting. Bow has speed and range, I agree. I think I would take ice bow over ice crossbow. So one thing that we actually had a really fun build with was throwing out the boomerang and then spamming square on the enemy. And basically they have to sit there and eat the full boomerang and then they die.
No.
But like in the time that you do that, you could just hit it with so many other weapons. Yo, Totem, following the channel. Welcome, Totem. Glad to have you here. Hope you enjoy. Hope you're all enjoying the tier list as well. I feel like this is just a lot of work. Almost more work than like Assault. So I'm wondering about this. Now, ice crossbow to me is not an instant sell. It can actually do stuff. It's just more almost like meat skewer. It's a lot of trouble than just using any other item in the game. I'll use it over any of this stuff, but I wouldn't find myself actually trying to make a build out of it, and at least not keeping the build for very long. So let's actually keep it as a D. I think I'm okay with that. Next is Lycos's Explosive. Okay, so Explosive Crossbow. Explosive Crossbow is what? It's not an S. I want to say it's not an A. Now, I'm doing this because I already know some other items that I prefer over this thing. And it's weird to say, like, would you really rather take a kunai over Explosive Crossbow? It's almost like comparing apples to oranges here. And it's like, it's tough to really say that every item in the tier above is there because you take it over the one below it. I feel like this is slightly build dependent. So I like every build with kunai better than every build with explosive. Now that's not to say that explosive is bad. Was that thing in the meme tier that is actually missing no from Pokemon? If y'all remember how to get like infinite master balls in Pokemon Red and Blue using a missing number. Where was that? That was like you swim along the coastline of like Mewtwo's lair and that thing could spawn. It was really weird. That was like so long ago. That might be before some people in chat were born, to be quite honest. But if you shout outs to anyone who remembers Missing No. This is actually a screenshot of a tier list. As I'm like moving it around, you can kind of see Cinnabar Island next to the gym. Look at Lycos here, the actual Pokemon master, swimming in Pokeballs thanks to Missing No. That's awesome. That's so cool that you all can remember that kind of stuff. It's been so long for me. So heavy crossbow, it's good, but there's a lot of items I'd rather use over it. And as I think to myself, without spoiling chat, about what I would take over explosive crossbow, it's a lot of items. I think I might actually end up leaving it as a B, and then as we start adding stuff in without spoiling, I kind of like move up and down. D, first bow. Yeah, so this, like I said, compare this list to this one. This is the last season, like version 1.3. No, 1.2. This is version 1.2. And I actually had Marksman all the way at an A rank. But now that we're in 2019, it's a new year, new chat. It got demoted. And again, this is a Veedotme 4BC plus tier list. It's perfectly okay for you all to have stuff higher. It's okay if you want to have stuff lower. I like that feedback. So definitely, if you think something should be higher or lower, definitely let me know. No guarantee I'll actually move it, because once this stuff gets locked in, like at the end of the night, it normally stays locked in. But I will always take the feedback. We've moved a couple items around because of chat's feedback. I feel like explosive is okay thanks to survival scaling. That's your words, not mine, Reinhardt. So like I said, survival doesn't really have a lot of green ranged weapons. You have one. Oh, maybe you have a lot more than I thought. So multi-knock, Marksman. So things I would take over Marksman and multi-knock. Heavy. Repeater, yes. Explosive, yes. Lightning bolt, no spoilerino. Boomerang, maybe if the build depends it. War Javelin, no spoiler. Hemorrhage, probably. But I don't want to say it's an F. I'm actually, you know what? Let's put it in C rank, because I feel like I'm gonna drop it out of B. So we may as well just make it a C now. Survival scaling is nice. Like, it's cool to be able to just be like a walking mortar cannon and nothing can really hurt you. But there's a lot of other things I could be using. I don't know. It's tough. This one's gonna be a tough choice, I feel. Would I do the ice crossbow? We compare ice crossbow to ice bow. I decided that I like ice bow over ice crossbow, and then I decided if I'm gonna make a build out of ice crossbow, how much work is that? And if I can do that more easily and better with something else. So I feel like situational is basically like, once you, like, it actually does what it's supposed to if your cards line up. But if it doesn't, if it gets outperformed at what it's actually supposed to do, I think it becomes a D. What's the difference between explosive and shotgun? Shoddy kills almost everything in the game, including bosses. Explosive, in my opinion, does not kill bosses. Like, if you want to talk about skipping phases and like destroying Timekeeper and stuff like that, this thing just doesn't do that compared to heavy crossbow that can shred through everything in the game. Yeah, I've used it too. You would take this more often in the C tiers. They are more situational. Yeah, so again, I feel like basically what I want to do with Ice Crossbow, and maybe this is because I'm not playing the Ice Crossbow correctly. The way how I play Ice Crossbow is that I play it to keep enemies in crowd control, to keep them slowed and stunned, essentially, while everything else in my kit deals damage to it. If you're spamming square, then you have no time to press another button except for your skills. If you're using it just as a one-tap freeze and then hitting it with a different item, I could do that with this at far range. Yeah, it's actually really fun to just like run up to an enemy and spam square. If I'm gonna run up to an enemy and then hold square for the shotgun effect, I feel like I could use any other thing to do that. And maybe it's good to think of it as like saving a slot. So for example, heavy turret has a stun, it has damage, and it increases your damage. So heavy turret actually does 3 things in 1 item slot. So you can think of Ice Crossbow as kind of doing that too. It has a stun, it has potentially a bleed if you have the bleeding on Thaw, and it has a crit, and it has damage, I guess. I guess I would count the crit more so than actual damage. With other synergies, it's super good. I don't think I've seen one with this 175 self synergy on it. I would love to see that though. That sounds awesome. And we get lots of legendary versions of this too. What's next on the list? We gotta keep it moving. Nerves of Steel. Yeah, the bleed on Thaw is actually super good. Whenever I see Ice Crossbow with bleed on Thaw, I try to take it. Sometimes I forget though. Alright, Nerves of Steel. Nerves of Steel was an S rank back in 2012 or whenever we did this. Today, it's been nerfed. Nerves of Steel had the ammo nerfed down to 4 ammo. And you might think to yourself, man, 4 ammo? That's garbage. How in the world can I kill anything with 4 ammo? But if you're running survival nerves, then you can use a shield and get your ammo back. If you're running tactics nerves, you can have turrets that deal damage while you're waiting on getting your arrows back. Or you can go Ripper. You can rip your arrows back. So I feel like there's a lot of options for Nerves of Steel. Please nerf it. I got your nerf, Agiun. Here you go. Boom. Don't run tactics nerves. It's scary. But when you have stuff like Tranquilo, tactics nerves is actually pretty cool. You'll basically kill everything in prison depths without really seeing the enemy. And if you do see it because it got in range of you, it doesn't suffer like Marksman Bow does. This is kind of like character reliant. But I honestly feel like these two are very good at what they do. Almost better than Nerves of Steel. Cosmender, you're just in time for us to get hate mail. Chat loves when I bring when I bring formerly S rank items down. That's the best. What a good feeling that is. Oh man, Nerves of Steel below Heavy. And honestly, maybe Heavy Crossbow needs to be its own tier. This thing's disgusting. Is that too much, chat? Is this too much? Hunts bosses. Yeah, so it's fun versus bosses. It's fun versus bosses. See, I love doing tier lists. Just talking about no troll. This is not troll at all. We're being super sincere right now. That sure doesn't look like an S rank Javelin. I'm not there yet. Lumininous, I did not forget. Meme or S or Riot. Or I think you said C or Meme. Or we Riot. But Javelin's way down here, so we're not there yet. Quick with Pierce All is pretty OP. It really is. I actually prefer Quick Bow over Nerves of Steel now. But I don't think I know any other way to explain, to visually show my thought process here. I actually think Heavy Crossbow is never the wrong choice. I think any game that you see Heavy Crossbow is potentially winnable. So Nerves works with a lot of mutations, works better than Marksman Bow, works better than Multi-Knock. You just have to actually do something about the ammo. You don't have to get the actual ammo mutation. I would prefer that you don't, but if that's gonna be like the difference between killing Timekeeper and not, then just do it. Like, it's better off that you live than doing like some extra gameplay that could potentially cause you to lose the game. All right, moving on. As I said, Nerves of Steel was an S in the last tier list. It's only been changed because of the ammo nerf, but I think we can mostly get over that. This thing though, Alchemic Carbine has actually been pretty good. It's not an S rank, but there are some real games where Alchemic Carbine basically does all your damage. Why is Boyax only an A? Was it nerfed? It was nerfed. Probably not so much for most people to realize, but on bosses, it does a little less than you would be doing in biomes. Makes 2 empty tiers between S and Heavy that don't deserve touching. I don't think there's anything else that explains this properly. I think this is the best explanation I have for how I feel about these 3 items. The trifecta. I don't know if it's really a trifecta if one's better than the other. But Alchemic Carbine does really well. The last list had it as a B. I actually kind of underestimated the Carbine. The only thing that Carbine is bad against, in my opinion, is Conjunctivious. We had Conjunctivious. It might be because of the hitbox, I'm not really sure, or because it never really stays in the poison for very long. But Conjunctivious sucks to fight with this thing. As long as you don't go there, just go Ramparts and then fight Concierge, it's really good. Not the most interesting weapon in the game, and I gotta get out of that mentality of, oh, I think it's a boring weapon. F. We're not using that. That looks freaking Resident Sleeper. But no, if you use it, it's actually pretty good, and it activates your synergies for so much stuff. You can use it in Brutality too if you have like a the heavy. What gets really good poison synergy? Sadist Stiletto. That's your build right there. Sadist plus Alchemic Carbine. You just won the game. Congratulations. I like it. Like I said, I did really poorly on the tier list last time. Clearly, I am a ranged player, an official tactics one trick, because this definitely looks like some tactics pro play right here. AKA, I had no idea what I was talking about with this list. Now I feel like I've used a lot more of these weapons, and I kinda have a better feel with them. Except Lightning Bolt. So Lightning Bolt is probably the only item in the game I historically don't use, which is unfortunate because a lot of other streamers have been really using this thing. And in version 1.4, they actually soft buffed this, meaning that they nerfed the elites, which nerfing elites automatically makes Lightning Bolt better. And by nerfing the elites, I mean that they got rid of the mob that surrounds the elite, so now you only deal damage to the boss. Does it crit with oil? No, it crits in water. We joked around the other day saying that oil needs to have some crit to it, but unfortunately that was just jokes. You're just memeing. Yeah, Pablito. Instant wins. Okay, so to be perfectly honest, there's not a lot of instant wins in Dead Cells, but sometimes all you need is a weapon that gets you through biomes, which is this, and then a weapon to kill the boss, which is this plus this. So when you draw Exodia like that, you're probably winning some games. Boyac seems as a solo weapon alone or dual, because dual boy is triple S. I kind of thought of it from the perspective of double boy. But even using double boy, because of some bosses, I would probably take these. These kill bosses, and I feel like double boy struggles against bosses sometimes. But again, I'm not the biggest Gentleman user. I'm not the biggest Lightning Bolt user either. But when I watch other streamers use these items, this thing looks strong. And this thing is kinda strong too, but I would rather have this stuff. And yeah, good to see you, Cat. Happy to have everybody in here. So Lightning Bolt, why do I not like Lightning Bolt? The reason I hated on Lightning Bolt for so long was because it dies to elites. And it also dies to Hammer, but Hammer only shows up on one biome, and that's Prison Depths. Technically, you can take a different item into Prison Depths. Yeah, that's Beans Forza basically like changed my mind on Lightning Bolt. When I saw Lightning Bolt's damage versus the final boss, and that was the other reason why I was kind of afraid of it, was I was unsure if it kills bosses. But when you get the poison affix, like plus 100% bonus damage to poison with Lightning Bolt, it does nasty things, unrated things versus bosses. And elites, I guess. I mean, elites are whatever now that they've been nerfed. But it does some nasty stuff in 5 cell. So I honestly think, and this is, I'm trying to get better at this, just like the concept. Again, I am not a pro Lightning Bolt user. I am just an actor. A paid actor. Paid in brownies and water to tell you to use lightning bolts. That's that's the extent of my knowledge on lightning bolt. It's good though. I have definitely seen it do real stuff. But we gotta keep it moving. We gotta get through all of this. Watching Big Brain Tactics and you feel so noob. I feel, again, the last tier list, I was kind of upset because I feel like I just put everything as C because I didn't understand really how to use any of this stuff. So now I feel like I have a little more of an understanding. Fire Blast, this is Kellen's favorite item. Definitely not an SS. To me, definitely not an S. So Fire Blast does best in oil. And it's really easy to get oil in 5BC. You'll be surprised at what kind of stuff gives oil. Even owls. Owls will lube up their arrows, dip it in that baby oil, and then just start shooting stuff for some reason. And that gets you the crit. But it's still, like, if I'm gonna be running an owl, I feel like I'd rather just run Kunai for the bonus damage to poison, or even like Alchemic Carbine for the bonus damage to poison. Fire Blast plus Oil Sword, see, that's so much work. That's like 2 buttons. I want to press 1 button. I just want to swing the Oil Sword and that's it. Maybe I'll use it with Molotov, where I throw the Molotov and then I just start slashing. I feel like if you're gonna actually hold down square, well, triangle essentially, for like a half second, I may as well just throw a Molotov. Yeah, or just use a turret. Looking at the wiki and planning on getting some of those blueprints, yeah, definitely hook yourself up, Pigeon. You don't want to be out in the cold with no blueprints to warm you up. Yeah, so I feel really bad about this. Don't let Kellen see this. In oil, it's not half bad. It actually does stuff in oil. But man, I feel like I would just not want to do this. What I like about this thing is actually running Parting Gift. So you go Parting Gift, and then that's for biomes. So if you have oil and you actually ignite the oil with the Fire Blast, you will get Parting Gift bombs off the oil. And it'll kill other stuff off screen. And that's actually not half bad. And then in the biomes, in the bosses, you'll be running Instincto. And Instincto lets you get cooldown reduction on your turret, I guess. Maybe your owl. It's really weird. Like, if I'm running Flame Turret, why do I need cooldown reduction? Flame Turret has like such a short cooldown, it really doesn't matter. Like maybe you run it with Lacerating Aura. And Lacerating Aura can actually apply oil. That is a thing. But again, I feel like I'll run Ice Shards over that. Not to mention the nice rolls on Flame Turret. Yeah, Flame Turret, no spoilers though. The Flame Turret's pretty decent, I gotta say. Ooh, this is getting nasty. Ice Shards, okay. So Ice Shard got nerfed. Nerfed so much that we put it as a B. But I've actually still been winning games with Ice Shard. I don't know about you all, but even like double Ice Shard still actually does stuff in oil. I don't think it's S tier quality because this stuff is better, than having to do like double ice plus oil gameplay. But when you actually get it, you get some stuff. They nerfed it too, so I actually don't know if it's been nerfed enough. Maybe they gotta nerf it even harder. Difference was that oil sword doesn't varnish with fire interaction better than other oil, for example, in bosses. Yeah, so if you're talking about like losing your oil because you ignite it, that is a problem. It's very low ammo though. Yeah, so the problem that we're trying to solve is how does this become actually useful in 4 shots? And what is SS? That is Super Saiyan 5? S kind of looks like a 5, I guess. But you basically go Super Saiyan God mode when you're using heavy. Nothing can stop you. You just win. You pick up the item, the game basically just gives you all the achievements. Like, here you go. Apparently you learn how to play Dead Cells. Here's everything you need. Congratulations. You mainly use it to slow enemies. So again, we're talking about items that do multiple things. So not only does it crit, it also slows, and it's ranged. Now, obviously the range is shorter than Ice Blast, but you can throw it in mid-air and get the trajectory. Pull out the, I'm trying to think of like nautical references, but pull out anything. You can get super trajectory on your ice shards. We also had, for those who remember, the unblockable setup where you throw the ice shard and then you use the grapple hook, and it literally kills every monster and they can't do anything about it. And you can do it before they even aggro, because you're basically like tossing the dust up in the air and then you rake them into it and you get the bonus damage on the ice shard, the pre-thrown ice shard. And if I get more of those builds, I'll actually show you all, because I think it's actually really strong. The weapon is how you got, again, everyone is more than welcome to put any item you want anywhere in the list. We have this thing down here because of the amount of gameplay involved that I could be doing with other stuff. And that's not to say it's bad. Just for the Veedotme range tier list version 1.4, click it before it's gone. Super clickbait. It's a D. And I'm really sad to show you all that. I'm sorry, chat. But yeah, ice shards I think is an A. I think it's better than this unless you have a very specific game in mind when using this. But for the most part, I would probably take ice shards over ice bow if I only need crowd control. Yeah, grapple hook into ice shard. I wish I had the footage, but I don't. But it's like really, really strong. And grapple hook can actually apply oil for some reason. So if you get the oil on the grapple hook, guarantee the monster's dead. It's pretty nasty. Alright, but moving on. So ice shard, post nerf, still really good. Pyro, I want to say is better than Fire Blast. So let's at least do this. So Pyro is not an S. It used to be an S back in the day. It really used to. So speedrunners, and some still do, some speedrunners still do double heavy turret plus Pyro and actually get like super fast clears just because Pyro is really good on bosses. and it's actually not bad against most enemies because it does have really good range. Yeah, way back it was the best ranged weapon in the game. It's good. I don't know if maybe I'm just a hater, to be quite honest. But I actually think it's sorta okay. I think my favorite thing about using this is actually pairing it with Parting Gift. And it's purple only, so you don't have to worry about getting a red version. Compared to Fire Blast, where you might get like double red and you're already planning to go full purple, and now all of a sudden you have to pay 20 grand to reset it. This thing is perma purple, so it's always the right stat. You can run Instinct with it if you happen to get oil. A lot of stuff gives oil now. You can even get oil on the Tatami shield, so very cool stuff there. You can get oil on Lacerating Aura, like I said, so you can actually just run in range of Concierge and just start blasting it with free crits. It's pretty funny. I don't think it's good enough to be an A though, because the missiles, like the combo itself, is a little slow. And if you don't have the oil, you might actually stop dealing damage at some point. So I think I gotta keep it as a B. Yeah, definitely not an S, I agree. Oh, hi, by the way, Coffee, if I didn't say hi already. Glad you experienced version 1.0 Ice Bow. Yeah, and I actually failed to like spam Ice Bow on bosses. I really wish I got that, but we didn't. Back when you could just drop a turret and then spam triangle and the monster dies. Alright, Boomerang. So right now I have to figure out, how do I justify nerfed Ice Shard versus nerfed Boomerang? Legendary Boomerang is still really good, and the last tier list I freaking put this thing in the trash. And I shouldn't have, because I'm still winning games with Boomerang. It's still pretty decent as an item, but it's been nerfed. And honestly, most of my Boomerang wins have been either a cursed Boomerang or an legendary Boomerang. S tier? I don't know. That sounds real tough. I feel like S tier means that this should be S tier too. And I don't think that's the case. Even with double Boomerang, I don't think, wow. I think I take Ice Shard over Boomerang. Obviously, Boomerang is also survival, so in some cases you can actually run Boomerang in green builds, even after the nerfs. And you basically just stand there, because you're playing survival anyways, you're just standing there, you got nothing else better to do. So Boomerang actually works in that case. But now I'm wondering, would I really use Boomerang over Explosive? I definitely use it over Repeater, but then again, like, you can get some Exodia builds down here. Not with this. Wonder what this looks like. Don't see yourself using double Boomerang past situational occasions, aka legendary? Yeah, I'm trying to remember if I've really been using Boomerang outside of legendary Boomerangs. And that might be like what's skewing my opinion. This is legendary. That's fine. Ow. See how I got most of my health back? See, look at the oil. Oh, I'm using that. So no wonder I have oil. Let's check out the boomerang here. See, even then, that's a legendary boomerang. It's not terrible because it's applying poison. Yeah, I feel like it's still not enough. See, you can see the damage tick. And back in the day, I feel like that used to be so much better. This guy here, this build looks wild. It has been wild. Wild build. Explosive crossbow seems bad against bosses. Man, I'm a little upset about this boomerang placement. But I actually think I'm only taking legendary boomerangs. And purple boomerangs. I'll actually take purple and run Tranquilo, and that gives you that DPS boost that you need. But that makes it pretty situational. So I actually think that situational's fine for the boomerang. And this thing is gonna stay like in the middle of the pack until I decide like where it belongs, because I have no idea where that thing belongs. All right, we already did boy. Ooh, new stuff. New stuff, new stuff. Oh, nice ad. Undermine now available. Javelin. Who's out here using Javelin? Where my Javelin mains at? Here we go. Okie dokie. We got some Javelin mains in the chat right here. Holy crap. So, yeah, we did enable U-block or... Oh, you can see. Don't tell Twitch, though. Don't tell Twitch we got this enabled. That's just like antivirus shield. It starts with U and O, and there's number 7. Apparently we blocked like 7 viruses today. That is totally not ad block. You hear that? Totally not ad block. So Javelin. Javelin, we have tried our absolute best to find the right build with this. I think it's still out there. I think the best Javelin build is still out there. I feel like it involves using Hunter's Instinct, and I wonder if you can phaser. If you throw the Javelin and then phase onto enemies, I think it pops them. Same with grapple hook. I think if you throw the Javelin and then grapple them into the Javelin, it one-shots them. But again, that's an awful lot of work. Totally not an A. Yeah, so I feel like Hunter's Instinct, you throw the Javelin and then you pick it up with the Lightspeed dash. I think even that could be a good thing. I know we died like that one time. I'm not gonna pull out the clip because we gotta keep the thing moving. So my real problem with Javelin is if you are in the middle of a hallway and you don't kill the enemies, what do? I feel like you use a different item to kill them all. But if you have to use a different item to kill them all, you could probably just use that item in the first place. So for example, you throw the Javelin, they don't die, you use Alchemic Carbine. Or you shoot the Carbine first and then you throw the Javelin. That's probably the right way to do it. I feel like they probably die to actually the Carbine and nothing else. Best with ammo mutation, doesn't that no longer work? I think they nerfed the War Javelin so that it no longer works with ammo, but you tell me because I don't ever do it. It works? I'll try it. I will say that I have, and chat always asks me to. Chat does tell me, hey, can you please take the Javelin with double ammo? And I say sure, and then I sell the Javelin. So I honestly have no idea. So thinking if it actually works. So if it works, then you can clear biomes that way. With Tranquilo, you throw one Javelin, it stuns the enemy, you'll probably kill it with the second Javelin. On bosses, you can probably fight Concierge, you probably lose against Conjunctivius, you probably kill Timekeeper, you'll die to Giant, and then Hand the King. I actually think it might be okay versus Hand the King because you can always grab it off the wall. And like best case scenario is that maybe you're also running something like Crusher, or even the assuming you're actually green. Is there another green turret? I mean, you can run Wolf Trap, and Wolf Trap will actually kill stuff by itself. But I guess Crusher's your only option. But maybe you go Giant Whistle versus Hand the King. Giant Whistle, double Javelin, and like Powerful Grenade, maybe Ice Bomb. Remember that busted build with Jav, V? Was that from you or was it from someone else, Shaq? Or was it from me? Did I have a busted build and then I just died instantly? I die a lot in Dead Cells, so sometimes I don't really remember. And yeah, the Sauce God. You all have the best names, I swear. So Sauce God, we haven't done Shield yet. We're gonna finish range today, and then next week, next Monday, we'll start on shields. Can Javelin drop in the spike pit? So according to the buffs, if Javelin goes in spikes or lava, you get it back right away. They did that buff for version 1.3, I think. But like I said, I've never actually used it. That far in the game, I always just get rid of it. So I'll keep it as a C, only because I want to believe FBI X-Files style. I want to believe. I want to believe in chat. I want to believe in Motion Twin. I want to believe in the Javelin. It's out there. The truth is out there. Magic Missile though. So Magic Missile, aka Gallic Gun, Vegeta build. We used to rock the Vegeta build with Magic Missile plus Corrupted Power plus Death Orb, and that was fun, but I die a lot with Magic Missile, so I actually think I'm very bad at this item. The last time it was on the tier list, it was an A, and I have to convince myself to not make it a B. Now, I've seen the vids on Reddit. Why did Twin Dagger suck so much? So Sauce God, this is actually a 4 BC plus tier list. And again, it's also from my perspective. So there's nothing wrong with a lot of these weapons. The best way to play Dead Cells is your way, 100%. So if you love Twin Daggers, please keep using it. You're more than welcome to like read on, well not read, but listen to what I thought about Twin Dagger. My problem with Twin Dagger is having to chase down enemies or having to dodge roll to do the third strike. I feel like if I'm gonna dodge roll, I may as well just use Assassin Dagger. And if I'm gonna hit them from the front, I may as well use the pan. And if I'm gonna do like a 3-hit combo, I may as well use Hayabusas. So it got like really, really far down. I went through so many different items where I'm like, do I really want to use this? No, I'm using this instead. and we ended up as an F after doing that. Oh man, good luck, Iceman. That's the best biome in the game right there, the caverns. So Magic Missile. Magic Missile, I have seen the Reddit videos where they kill Timekeeper in 2 seconds using Magic Missile and Owl. Magic Missile can apply poison, and it works really well with Tranquilo.
Damage. We're dead.
So, infinite ammo on Magic Missile deals constant damage. You don't have to worry about crits or anything like that. It's just a straight up DPS machine. And as long as you have immaculate placement, it's pretty decent. And that's probably my issue, my positioning with the Magic Missile. And this is coming from someone who used to play ADC in League of Legends. My positioning with Magic Missile is terrible. So I really feel like a Magic Missile plus Kunai bound together. I tried Magic Missile plus Boomerang together, and it actually slowed down the missile. So rather than do that, I would rather just not use anything throwable and just use Hokuto instead. Or Ice Shard instead. But I could be wrong, because I have really low experience with the Magic Missiles because I lost a lot of games with them. But thinking from a concept, like this is as tactics as it gets. I feel like if anyone was to explain tactics to someone who doesn't play Dead Cells, Magic Missile is the premier item for the tactics player, next to Quick Bow. But Quick Bow's an S, so you know. So I like it. I like it. I don't know if I'm in love with it though. Missile plus wave denial is almost unkillable. I actually had that once, and I didn't realize that you can kind of use wave denial during your attacks. So every once in a while, I would not hit the R2 button because I was waiting for like the missile to fire out, whereas I could have just been spamming R2. Again, it's tactics. You should like learn how to do that to get the optimal gameplay out of Magic Missile. It's not as bad as Meat Skewer though. Meat Skewer is more trouble than it's worth and gets you killed, compared to Magic Missile where like if you master the missile, call it Master Missile, you can actually get some really, really good game out of it. So actually, let's put it up as an A. I'll just say that, you know what, V is just bad. Once V learns how to use Magic Missile, then yeah, it's cool. But outside of that, but now I'm like, actually no, I think we're fine. Hemorrhage. Hemorrhage is an item I do not have unlocked. The game hates me. Apparently, Iceman just died. Magic Missile is just low DPS compared to other weapons, otherwise it's great. Yeah, it's all about that tactics gameplay. Wait, are you saying I just jinxed you, Iceman? That's a Ripperino. It's actual like triple X, like Vin Diesel triple X, but we don't have it, so we don't know. What am I gonna do? So part of me wants to just base it on other streamers I've seen use it. I have seen some games where Hemorrhage is actually really good, but Lightning Bolt is better if you're going green. If you're going purple, there's a lot of stuff that's better than Hemorrhage that deals just constant DPS. So I feel like purple Hemorrhage is probably not good. Green hemorrhage, on the other hand, is probably good. And it's funny because we have like no green items here in the A tier. Yeah, please give me a hemorrhage. I would love to actually play this game. But apparently I'm not allowed to play. We're on punishment. Feels bad. So the suicidal slow attack animation put onto an item, and that's why it's green. So even if you have positioning issues, you shouldn't ever really die. You just, like, if you were to get a lightning bolt, you just take lightning bolt over it. But I actually think it's better than heavy crossbow, only because it has poison and bleed built in. And remember, survival really needs damage wherever it can get it. So against bosses, I actually feel like this thing is better than explosive. Against bosses, I feel like it's better than Javelin. And this thing, you just need like Exodia to actually kill a boss. So basing it off of other players, I think Hemorrhage is a B. It's basically a ranged broadsword, except it actually applies, like, broadsword doesn't deal damage while you're not swinging. This thing deals damage while you're dodging attacks, which is like kind of good. Combine that with like a crusher or some cursed turret, you can get some real games. I like it as a B. Sonic-gu. So Sonic Crossbow, purple only, locks you in place. Crit condition is it must actually hit an enemy behind it. So it's almost like a war javelin, where you get crits for hitting stuff behind it. It does have ammo. This thing does not have infinite ammo, so your ammo will get stuck. Not an S. Being trapped in place while using purple, kind of annoying. Like, you can pair it with heavy turret or wolf trap, and they'll make sure that you don't get hit. You can also use wave of denial during the, and this is the actual AK-47. This is the JK-47. This is the AK-47. But the tactics version of it, and again, I have a lot of fun with Sonic-gu. I actually think it's a fun item, but I feel like against elites, against bosses, you should probably think about getting something else. And maybe the Ripper gameplay with this assault rifle, the AK-47, is actually pretty good, where you just dump out all of the bullets and then you go in for the actual rip. I don't know how good that is though. I think there is a sonic bow that actually applies poison, and I think that one's pretty good. You still don't get how crit damage works with this weapon. It says the same amount of damage as the white. So they said something where items with crit in the combo, I think, show the same DPS number. I don't think the actual wiki reflects that though. That might be something for the actual devs. We'll try to maybe think about why that works the way it does. The shotgun has by far the worst animation lock in the game, and it's super unusable in biomes without that pierce. What is this list? So if you don't go for the, again, we had, and hey, how you doing, Kirby? Good to see you as always. So we had this kind of stuff here And back in the day, heavy crossbow was under the usable on its own as like a -1 because it happened to require the hook. Like you actually needed to reset it to get the pierce on enemies. And if you don't pierce enemies, you're actually in trouble. But the animation lock with the pierce is 100% negligible. Yeah, so I'm just... and I was actually really surprised to see that, Kirby, but again, I will always explain what we're thinking about here. So the animation lock on heavy, I know a lot of people think it's a slow weapon. You will probably one-shot whatever's in front of you, and if you don't one-shot it, the hook will interrupt its attack. Every enemy you just spam square and chances are it will not get its attack off. Maybe against something like a hammer that has a lot of HP, eventually it will get off like the bombs around it. You can either parry the bomb and just keep firing, or you can jump out and then hook it again and then shoot. And by then the thing should be dead. And if it's not dead, then you probably put your points in the wrong stat. But it's wicked good. And if you're playing 4 BC and higher, you will probably have either the extendo slow or the hook. Either one. But you want the hook. I'm sorry, not the hook, the pierce. You really want the pierce. Pierce is what makes that item busted. Sonic Crossbow, though, I'm a little unsure if this thing really wins games. Almost so much that I want to put it as a D. I'm almost at the point where I want to put it as a D. But I feel really bad about that because I think it can actually kill stuff if you try hard enough. I think I'm gonna leave it as a B because now I have this nice little block here, this almost perfect square of items. And like, I guess I should also like try to get this out of the C rank. And I almost wonder if that's the right choice. Because heavy crossbow is pretty generic, but I would take hemorrhage over heavy. And I don't want to do this because I feel like we're gonna get in the same vein where we're just full of C rank items. Can I quickly recap why Lightning Bolt is an S? Sure. So Lightning Bolt got a pseudo buff because they removed the elite squadron that's around all elites. So that was the #1 thing holding back Lightning Bolt, was that you die to elites because you're only ever hitting the zombie mob. After that, Lightning Bolt is really, really good versus pretty much every monster except maybe Hammer. It can kill basically everything else. I know there's some poor interactions with like shield bearers and stuff like that, but I think it's actually fairly good. And again, I don't use Lightning Bolt. I'm not a Lightning Bolt one trick, but after watching streamers like Forza, Crowblooms, all these people using Lightning Bolt, seeing what it does to Hand the King and Timekeeper, it's pretty strong. And you might be right about that, Kirby. Again, Marksman and this, we went over why we don't like these two items in 2019 compared to some of the other stuff up here. This, I was a little upset to bring down to a D, but I had to basically make the case of using it over these two. And then this thing, I would rather not lose the oil unless I'm in a biome and I'm running Parting Gift. Throwing the grenade and then hitting it and igniting the oil with the Fire Blast, I feel like is better than doing something like the Molotov. But I don't want to use this thing for much of the game at all. Yeah, I'm a Marksman hater, I'll admit it. I will be the first one to admit I am a marksman hater. Haterade in my blood. Because of every hammer that we find with Marksman Bow, absolutely despise it. I will not deny it. So what do you all think? Like I said, this one might have been a little controversial, but I think we might lock it in like this. I'm keeping Sonic Bow down here because I feel like even when you go Ripper, even when you have the Wolf Trap, there's still other stuff you could have done over Sonic Bow, but it's still really fun. You like it? So I think the number one things that chat is probably gonna question, and Twitter and YouTube, we're gonna have questions everywhere. And the number one, number two, like number 10 weapons are probably gonna be, hey V, why is this S? Why is this not S? Why is this not B? Why is this not an S? Why is this not like a D? Why is this not an F? What's this item? I never seen this item before. Does it actually do anything? Is that fun? Why is this a C? Would you even ever use the Molotov for? Didn't they nerf this? Hey, that item looks cool. Every time I see you use this item, you pop off. Why is it a C? Hey, I use this thing all the time. This thing can't be a C. This thing should be an A. I one-shot so many enemies with this. Hey V, why can you never use Marksman Bow? Hey, I crit with this thing, and that actually is really cool. And then these things, whatever. No one even cares about the F tier. That's locked in, perma-locked. So I definitely think that there's a lot to talk about with these items, and it's cool. I like talking about this stuff. All right, I think we're saving this. What's that thing to the right of Rusty Sword? That is the meme where it's like, it's a tier list. I took a screenshot of the tier list and it made it to the tier list. That's basically what happened. All right, we're locking this in. Get your heavy crossbow before they nerf it. So once again, thank you everyone. I know you all have a lot to say about the tier list, and I love that. Definitely keep it coming. Unfortunately, I don't usually move stuff around the tier list once it's locked in, but if I use an item in a run and I fail, or if I sell an item that I claim was good, definitely like point it out, start the discussion again. We love it. So let's play some Dead Cells.